Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. And firstly, no, I'm not James Baggett and suddenly become an awful lot younger. I'm James Batchelor. Now, today on the show, I'm chatting with Adam Turner from Chorley Group, and we're going to be speaking about the ongoing pressures of operating during coronavirus, but also about embracing customers' wishes to purchase, well, not from a showroom necessarily, but also to transact online. Good afternoon, Adam.
Hi, James. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on. Now, firstly, just for a bit of background on the business and on Adam himself. Now, Adam is Sales and Marketing Director at Chorley Group. Chorley Group chairman and founder Andrew Turner began trading in 1989 as Bugle Inn Motor Company, with a firm commitment to develop a reliable family business brand in the northwest of England. Now, it currently holds franchises for Nissan, Hyundai, Kia and MG, and last year turned over £140 million. Now, Adam himself has been at the business for just over 9 of those 30 years the business has been operating, and his automotive career has been at Chorley. So he's very much been there, man and boy. Now, if you're watching on YouTube and have any questions, please feel free to submit them and I'll put them to Adam, and we'll start with mine to kick things off. Now, hello, Adam. Thanks very much for joining us. Now, I'll dive straight into the questions. Firstly, how has it been with showrooms opening again this week for new car buying?
Yes, so far so good, James. We're only 2 days into the official full reopen, and we're tracking at 115% of sales so far. Inquiry rates are tracking just around 150, 160% of the same period last year. So if it carried on like in that vein, we'd be really, really pleased. Granted, we probably do feel there's a bit of pent-up demand that we're now benefiting from, and we just hope we can try and sustain it and we don't see a peter off anytime soon. So yeah, so far so good.
And when customers are coming into the showroom, are they relatively relaxed, or is there a bit of anxiety?
No, I think it's like anything really. Communication's been absolutely key with customers and our team. We acted relatively quickly. I think we're one of the first to get the full sanitisation systems and all the markings in place ready, because we had after sales departments open relatively early to click and collect. And we just communicated to the team and communicated to our clients really that we've got all this here for you. We are going the extra mile, and we are making sure that we take every precaution we can. I think if anything, customers are probably more relaxed than you would like them to be sometimes. They're coming into the showrooms, wandering straight in, and we're having to, unfortunately, the management's coming out asking them to go back and could you possibly sanitize your hands and things like that. We've got masks, which are also optional. Again, it's becoming a bit of a challenge to get customers to wear them all the time. I said previously to somebody, it always tends to be the people in the slightly more at risk categories that don't seem to want to wear the mask and don't want to sanitize, unfortunately. So we have to kind of go over and above to try and protect them. But overall, they've been pretty relaxed so far, yeah.
I suppose it's quite interesting, really, isn't it? We've had 10 or so weeks of going to the supermarket. We're all well into that regime of sterilizing the trolley, washing our hands, wearing masks, etc. But with car buying, I suppose people, they know the risks, what they've got to do, but when they walk in the showroom, they're suddenly, oh wow, it's a car, I may be buying something today. And it's the temptation is to forget that safety is still paramount at this moment in time.
Yeah, the team have been busy. Our guys have been really busy making sure that we're sanitising the cars, also have people touching them. We didn't want to go to the extent of saying you can't look at vehicles in the showroom and stuff like that, because that's what we're here for. That's why we've got retail environments. So we just sanitize them as and when we can. We've got a relatively strict regime in place, which seems to be working well. As footfall increases, I've got no doubt that'll probably become more challenging, but you'd like to think as footfall increases, the risk factor and everything else will start to decrease as well. So at this moment in time, it's working all right. We haven't had too many major issues, so yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. So it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, I suppose, but do you see this demand lasting? Do you think there's this pent-up demand is just going to be a short blip, and then we're going to go back to some tough trading times?
I'm a a consistent optimist, really, possibly too much so. I don't know whether the pent-up demand will necessarily last, but my personal opinion is that we will go back to some kind of normality relatively quickly. I think as humans, individuals, we've got really short memories. We don't like change. We would like things to go back to normal. And most businesses now have managed to adapt. And I think if we can manage to kind of keep up the positivity and keep up the morale within the businesses, we will keep a good level of sales. The economy and the businesses were going well before this all happened. And I keep saying to my guys, yeah, a recession is inevitable, but it's a recession by definition, not necessarily because the economy was in an absolute turmoil. The economy is in a bad place because no one's been able to spend. There's been no output, and it was absolutely inevitable that it'd fall into a recession. But you can't, when there's lots of comparisons drawn to 08, 09, we're talking about completely different instances. So you've nothing to benchmark on. My personal opinion is I think the market's going to be good. I think the market will be strong. I think supply is going to be challenging, looking at what manufacturers have done just down to the close downs of factories. Used cars for us, I think the vast majority of people have experienced that used car values have remained and maintained well. Our used car sales are up considerably already because we've not been selling new, so we've been selling a lot of used, and values remain strong. So we are really, really positive as a business. I might be sat here with egg on my face in a month's time when we're not selling any cars, but I hope I'm not. So,
well, it's nice to hear some optimism. It really is, because the temptation is at the moment for it to be a bit of doom and gloom, really. But on that point about used cars, though, do you think there will be a bit of a shortage of good quality used cars?
I do in specific price brackets. Yeah, I think we've seen a massive uplift in cars sub £15,000 already. So we operated the click and collect service for just shy of 3 weeks throughout May. We finished on 60%-ish of used car performance, 50% of sales overall, and I'd say probably 50 to 60% of those were sub £12,000. So that market is moving really quickly. I can't imagine there's going to be a massive shortage of cars at the top end of the market. But for that fast moving stuff, people who don't necessarily have a second car in the household and now want a second car because they're not using public transport, the Northwest probably won't benefit quite as much as some areas. Obviously, if you're a London-based dealer, I'd be rubbing my hands right now because no one's going to get a tube and everyone's going to want an electric vehicle. So I think they're going to have a really good time. But yeah, I think good quality, lower end of the price bracket used cars are becoming short supply, definitely.
Now, you hold the franchises for some really big players in the market, and of course MG, who's very much a disruptive brand at the moment. Yeah. What are those brands saying to you at the moment? Are they forewarning you that, look, we're having supply difficulties from the factory, we may have to limit certain trims and colours and specs? I mean, what are they saying to you at the moment?
It's very brand specific, to be perfectly honest with you. MG supply obviously comes from China, so they went through an initial dip in production, but they got their production back up and running relatively quickly again. So supply is looking okay. Nissan, obviously, there's been very well publicised, but Nissan's closed down the factory and it's just due to reopen again. So Nissan's new car stock supply is going to be short. So it's working on the stock we've got and what stock is in free supply. So it's going to be challenging. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be challenging. But at the end of the day, you've got to work with what tools you've got at your disposal, haven't you? And there is still stock out there. It's just not necessarily the stock that you'd always want to choose. So we've just got to try and box smart, box clever with it, really.
I suppose, really, the dealers who are successful when this pent-up demand inevitably ends are the dealers who have kept up communications with customers throughout the pandemic and reminding customers that they're there, reminding that just to have a conversation, perhaps doing short little videos and clips to reassure customers, really just keeping those communication lines open.
Yeah, we've had really good success from that. I'm not blowing our own trumpet, but I think our communication with our kind of local community is always really important to us and our customer database. So right at the beginning, we communicated to the customers that we decided we were going to close. This is before the enforced lockdown came in for the good of our team. We then communicated videos to, again, the public, but just saying that we were going to pay suppliers early. And we've got a lot of one-man bands who needed that money, who relied on it, and then communicating with customers throughout. So we communicated a close down message with them. We communicated an after sales reopening message with them, and then we communicated the good news that we're going to be back open on Monday. Much to dismay of my digital response team, when we communicated it and we sent 45,000 emails in the space of an hour, and they had a live chatting meltdown. But they did an absolutely sterling job, and that's why we've managed to demand so well the first few days. And the appointment book for the next week to 2 weeks, especially in after sales, but sales as well, is looking really strong at this moment in time.
Well, that's brilliant to hear. So, obviously, there will be customers out there who are a little bit concerned about using public transport or whatever, and they are in the market to buy a new car. But there will be lots of other people who are coming to the end of their finance agreements. Perhaps they can't keep up those financial payments, or they may be like myself, who's working from home a lot and doesn't actually need to have a new car. So do you think convincing those people to actually take up another finance agreement or buy a new car is going to be a little bit difficult?
Again, I could be being too optimistic. I saw a piece recently written where there was quite a lot of negative stats in another press magazine, and one of those was the fact that people may well work from home more now, so I don't necessarily need my car. But I think for every person there is that maybe working from home more, there'll be another person who may need a car in the second car in the household. So in my head, I've got absolutely no math to support it. I would like to try and cancel each other out. If you come into the end of a PCP agreement, if you've lost your job, obviously you're going to be in a much more detrimental position there. So the chance of you taking a new finance agreement would be more challenging, and talking that customer into that. But there's lots of people who are coming out of this in a financially strong position. There's lots of talk about people having less disposable income. There's a lot of people with more disposable income at this moment in time. They haven't been out socializing. They haven't been on the holidays that would necessarily be going on. So for every negative, you can flip it straight into another positive argument. So yeah, there'll definitely be some customers that are more challenging to renew, 100%. But there'll also be a lot of customers out there who I think possibly got a little bit more spare cash, so they will be able to put that down as deposit and maybe go up the grades. So I think for everyone we lose, you probably gain one. I'd like to think anyway. So.
And also, for a lot of people, a car is not only just a status symbol, but it's something which they will divert resources and cash from other things to finance and to fund their car, because it's an important part of their lifestyle, isn't it? So it's just going to be interesting to see if people are still going to be buying a car in 6 months' time when there will be supply issues and we will be in a recession.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the $1 million question, isn't it? My personal opinion is I do think it will maintain and it'll stay strong. But like I said, I may be being too optimistic with that. But I don't believe that, and it's certainly not the message we're conveying to our team. Where it's business as usual as much as it can be with 50% of the team in place. We're cracking on, we're prospecting, the service diaries being marketed, it is back to normal within the dealerships with the resource that we've got. And as far as our business plan is concerned, we haven't rewritten budgets. We're working on the same budget again. I think rewriting a budget, I can understand why PLCs have to do it for the city and everything else, but as a family business, we haven't rewritten a budget because it's a finger in the air, in my opinion, because none of us know what we're going to come into, but we're optimistic and we're positive about the future. So
brilliant, good to hear. Now, all of the manufacturers you represent have at least one electric car in their ranges. How have electric car sales been for you over the past year or so?
Really good. So we've been, as a little bit of background, we were obviously very early adopters with 5 Nissan franchises. We were in the early waves of Nissan Leaf. We took some pain. We took a lot of pain early doors with it. It was challenging. We pushed back, I think, as most of the industry did. The investment was huge. The losses per vehicle were absolutely atrocious early doors. You couldn't get a sales exec to speak to a customer about an electric car. No one wanted to know. But we invested heavily in the infrastructure. We appointed a group innovation manager because we again felt that electric vehicles would be here for the long term. It wasn't a short-term thing, and we've always had the infrastructure well. Our team are really well equipped on electric vehicles. So the last 12 months have also been really good. The ZS EV was a massive thing with that. They bringing in a family-sized crossover electric vehicle into the MG range was absolutely phenomenal. We had a forward order book, something like 95 orders before the car even launched, and we've still got a nice, healthy order book going forward. So we like EV as a business. We really like it. We've always liked it, and we've done very well with it.
I suppose because you were in the, like you say, in the early days of the Nissan Leaf, and I remember that time very well, where there was a lot of anxiety amongst customers and dealers as well, saying, "Can we actually sell? And these are actually good enough cars to sell and to actually for people to buy." I suppose over the past 10 years, you've really seen that change, haven't you? With Leaf, a customer would come in and they'd hone in on the Leaf because that's the car they've come in to look at. Whereas nowadays, especially with ZS EV, I suppose you're getting customers coming in saying, "I'm not sure about buying the petrol, or should I be going for the EV version?" And I suppose you're having different kinds of conversation with people now about the car and how it fits with their lifestyle.
Yeah, I think the key thing is customers want to have the conversation now, which is something a few years ago they didn't want to have. It was a case of we've got our team actively trying to convert people from an ICE vehicle into an electric vehicle, whereas now you are getting inquiries on electric vehicles. People are coming asking the question. You get a lot of questions about hybrid, which you can then obviously try and convert into full electric by the time you've had the conversation. But yeah, I think the key to making it successful is having a team who are confident talking about it. I said our innovation manager spends time training all the team individually on the finer details. He's an ex-electric vehicle trainer himself, so the knowledge he has is absolutely phenomenal. Then delivering that to the team so they can deliver it to customers in ways that they understand. Range anxiety is obviously always the big one, which is becoming much easier to deal with now. We've got 64 kilowatt vehicles, 80 kilowatt vehicles compared to when we had 24 in the early days. So that once that range continues to increase, the conversation becomes less and less difficult. It'd be nice to see some more support from the government. Obviously, I know some countries have done some support packages. It'd be great if there is. I know there's lots of people lobbying the government for support in different areas in our industry, but I think that would be a logical one to try and push something on, because I think the industry would really benefit from it.
So do you think, with what's happening at the moment, it's going to be a bit of a catalyst for electric car sales? Are you predicting a bit of an uptake in electric car sales, not just because there's going to be more models coming on stream in the latter half of this year, but also customers are re-evaluating their lives at the moment, and perhaps some of them are thinking, "I don't really need a petrol car. I'll have a look at one of those funny little electric cars."
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be a shift with that. I do think you're going to see real geographical differences for obvious reasons with congestion charges and stuff like that. I do think the south will benefit and the big cities will benefit more than some of the rural areas, which a lot of our dealerships are relatively rural. But yeah, I think people's mindsets will have changed in that respect. I think they probably are becoming. You see the pictures of the effects that how the oceans are now. People haven't been polluting them and things like that, and people are becoming more aware of these things. So I do think everything that's happened possibly may sway people towards it, and also not having the ongoing fuel costs for them. So they may not have had the budget for a car before, but they can stomach that, but they can't stomach the fact that they need to do a car, VD and fuel. So I think they've been able to plan for an electric car is probably easier in that respect. Yeah.
Do you, on a more general level, I mean, do you think this the current circumstances with coronavirus is going to be, are we going to be feeling these shockwaves in the industry for a long time, or do you think we're going to quickly get back up to speed in the latter half of this year?
Again, I might be being naive, and I struggle to see past my view on this, but I don't think we will. I genuinely don't believe we will be seeing shockwaves for a long time. I think there's lasting impacts. There's some devastating. There's lots of lives been lost. People have lost their jobs. It's absolutely traumatic. But like I said earlier, there's lots of people who are coming out of this situation in a more positive position. There's lots of businesses who've had to adapt, but lots of businesses that are coming out of this leaner. They're coming out of it leaner. They're coming out of it stronger, which is what recessions do ultimately. 08, 09 did that. The businesses that came through it come through it stronger. I don't think we'll be sat here in 12 months' time reeling from the effects of coronavirus. I do think the pause button was hit massively in the industry, which is great. Used car values remained relatively stable for that period because people weren't tinkering too much, which obviously a concern. And then if the job can just restart again as to where it was, then my personal opinion is I don't see any massive lasting impact. But as I said, it's only an opinion at the end of the day, and it's the one that I'm running with. But I've been wrong before. I could be wrong again. So.
No, I share your optimism, and like I said earlier on, I think we need a bit of optimism at the moment. Now, Chorley is very big online. I mean, you go onto the website and it's nicely constructed. There's lots of pictures of the cars, but also you've got an online sales tool as well. Now, are you still surprised that dealers are still slow to adapt? Well, some dealers, not all, some are slow to adapt to this different way of communicating to customers?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I wouldn't say I'm surprised that dealers are slow to adapt, knowing a lot of dealers, because I think it's like anything in life, is people are scared of change, aren't they? The industry has worked the way it's worked for a long time now. I think it's a case of just approaching the change in a different way. When we first went online, we were one of the first to have a website really back in the days, and then we were one of the first in the country to go fully transact online, so end-to-end used cars, finance application, home delivery, do the lot, because we're big believers as a business that you've got to give customers the full pie, and they can choose what pieces they want from that realistically. So you find a lot of customers will inquire live chat online, they'll have the conversations with us, they might leave a deposit, and then they might turn up at the showroom to come and test drive. Or you might get the finance applications, they don't have to go through that process, they might come and test drive again. And again, managing that change with our team was straight away. We've got some fantastically experienced managers within our business who we're fortunate to have, who did put up a little bit of a barrier to it. But my comeback to that was, you've been selling cars online for the past 40 years. It's just been a telephone line rather than a digital one. So don't be so fearful of it being an online sale because you can't see that person, because you'll take a deposit over the phone. You would deliver the car to a customer by taking a deposit over the phone. Nothing's really changed. You're just giving the customer more options, really, and making yourself more visible. So I'm not surprised that businesses aren't doing it, but would massively encourage everyone to get on the same page so that the automotive experience across the board is the same for the consumer, really.
Are the consumers actually who are transacting online, are they very different? Are they still interested in haggling? Are they still keen on taking test drives? Do they just want a really simple, transparent experience?
Yeah, I think as dealers, my personal belief is we have this inbuilt thing in us where we think customers want to negotiate. We start the negotiation process half the time. You listen to a sales exec, they start the negotiation process, not the customer. I remember when I first met my wife, she just bought herself a new BMW, and I said to her, what did you pay for the car? And she said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know what you paid for it? I said, did you get a good discount? She said, discount? I didn't know you could get a discount. Well, there's customers out there like that. There's a lot of consumers out there like that. And when you're transacting online, you soon realize that people don't necessarily always want a discount. They come on, they buy the car, they will pay for the car. We've had quite a few over the period in lockdown where they paid for the car in full using a debit card. So that is no negotiation. There's no input from a human. There's no negotiation. There's no haggling. It's just, that is the price of the car. Here it is. Providing you're pricing your cars keenly in the first place. Like I said, I think sometimes we're the ones that are guilty of instigating that negotiation rather than the customer.
And also, if customers, they will probably know what a VW Golf drive's like. They know what color they want to have it in. They know what engine they want. And like you say, a lot of customers are put off from haggling. So if they've got all those tools and they've gone onto your website and they've had a live chat with somebody who can reassure them about this particular or validate that particular car for them, why wouldn't they transact online? What's the point of them driving 10, 15, 20 miles down to a showroom and having to go in there and having an experience which may not be sort of suitable for them?
Yeah, I think it comes right back to your communication, your transparency with your customers in the first place. We are slowly shifting this kind of archaic view of the Arthur Daly approach to where the industry was to where it is. We're a highly regulated professional industry at the end of the day, and changing consumers' mindsets to make sure they know they're going to get customer experience, having your reviews visible online. With things like that, customers then don't necessarily have the same fear of coming to the dealership. But like you said, why do they need to? A lot of customers will still come in. They still want some physical interaction somewhere because it's the second biggest purchase you ever make in your life. But it might just be for a nice handover experience, or it might just be just to go around that car, or just to make sure that the seat's comfortable, something as simple as that. But as you said, there's lots of people out there who know what a VW Golf drives like. They know how a Qashqai drives, and they're not bothered. But it's just a case of catering for all customers, and you can't even benchmark it on demographic or anything like that. You'll see consumers transacting online with us straight away the easy thing to say would be, yeah, it's a young consumer. It's not. It really isn't. We've got a complete mix. You do get slightly more females starting to leave deposits online. But again, there's no real pattern in our business. That I can only speak for our business to suggest that it's one type of individual that wants to transact online. It's all down to that person. I personally wouldn't want to. And I'm pro digital. I love transacting online. I personally wouldn't want to do that. As I said, my wife would more than happily transact online fully and have the car delivered to the door and never drive it. So it's each to their own at the end of the day. But giving customers the choice and the transparency that you can do all these things, to me, my opinion, it's absolutely vital.
No, I agree. And I think that's the best thing that dealers can do is just offer different solutions for different customers. Because I've been asked this question a lot this week about, will car dealerships fail and cease to exist? Will it just be purely online? And I can't see that happening for a long time, because there's still a large proportion of people who want to go and smell and sniff and have a cup of coffee and possibly haggle, but they want to have that experience when they're spending so much money on something.
Definitely. It's a bit of a crass saying, but we want to love customers up. We want customers to enjoy coming into the showroom, to enjoy that experience, to build relationships. And we're social creatures, aren't we, at the end of the day? Like, people are social creatures. There's certain individuals that don't want the interaction, and that's fine. But I personally can't see it. Again, so people sometimes turn to me, and because I'm slightly younger than some people, they automatically assume that you think, yeah, it's digital. I said, no, I see bricks and mortar being massively important. Do I think it'll be exactly the same? No, I don't. Footfall has decreased already. But it's just a case of making sure that you can combine that online and offline journey really seamlessly, really, which, to be fair, the team at GeForce has helped us do so well a few years ago, and it's been a great experience all around.
So what do you think the business's key to success is? Because it's been going a lot, it's been in trading for 30 years now. What do you think the key to success has been? We are a family business, and as we have grown as a business, we try to remain loyal to our family values at all times, and doing so is just so important, really, for us as a business. We're locally famous. We do a lot in the community. We always try and deliver that family-based service, and no matter how big we get, we always want to try and deliver that kind of level of service. We have a strapline of big enough to cope, small enough to care, and that is something we kind of live and die by within the business, really. Lastly, Adam, if you were joining Chorley Group tomorrow as a newbie in the industry, what would be your advice to yourself?
As a newbie in the industry, I'm only joking. There's easier ways to make a living, that's for sure. I think being open-minded to change is really important. I think it's very easy to say that's the way we've always done it, so that's the way we're going to do it. And I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes it's hard when you've got tried and tested methods which work for you, but be open-minded to change. Listen to external providers as well. We tried, a great example of it is we tried to build our own website in-house. We wanted to do it all ourselves. We've got an absolutely fantastic marketing team who are equally as control freaks as me. We wanted to do it all ourselves. We took a step back one day after having a meeting with GeForce and realised that we were spending far too much time doing something we weren't very good at when we could focus on the things you are good at. Don't be shy of paying for people who are the experts in doing what they do to work with your business and to improve it, I think.
Great words of advice there. Thank you very much, Adam. Thanks for joining us today. Now, tomorrow, James Baggett will be back in this hot seat, but not this particular hot seat because this is my home, but he'll be in his home hosting Car Dealer Live, and he'll be speaking to Marshall Motor Group's John Head and Jamie Crowther. And on Friday, he will be hosting Logistics Live. Now, if you want to get involved in Car Dealer Lives like these, you can email me, james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk, or James Baggett, and you can reach him at james@blackballmedia.co.uk. You can find me on Twitter at JRRBatchelor or James Baggett at Car Dealer Ed, and we're both on LinkedIn, and you can message us there. If you want to have breaking news direct to your phone, we set up Car Dealer Magazine WhatsApp groups where we share the most important stories. Get in touch with us for those links. And on our website, you'll find a schedule for all of our upcoming Car Dealer Lives in the live section. Now, thanks again to Adam for giving up his time today, which just leaves me to say thank you and goodbye.